Hello, it's me, and I thought I'd do a quick tutorial slash demonstration on this guy here, the Wheel of Wisdom. Now, it took me a while to actually do anything about this because I actually bought this puzzle a while ago, but I gotta be honest with you, the movement of this puzzle was so bad that I really didn't want to do much playing around with it, much less demonstrating it. So after a while of lubricating it and playing around with it, I managed to get it just barely usable enough in order to demonstrate. So the frustrating thing and the difficulty about the solve is not the difficulty, believe it or not. It's actually moving the thing. I could maybe do it a little bit more. It actually moves much better than it used to, but it ain't great. But I figured I think I got it just enough so that I can do a demonstration on it. So because conceptually it's a neat puzzle, I have to say. So looking at it, the question is, what would be approach to it? So the thing that jumps out is the structure of the puzzle. At least the centers and these edge pieces over here look strikingly like this, the Bagua cube. If you look at it, it's more than just a passing resemblance. It's almost identical. You've got the centers here, which have 7 sides. And then you've got these center triangles. It looks exactly the same. Even the edges here, aside from these more linear edges here, you've got exactly the same kite pieces, and you've got the center over here. So at first I was thinking, well, maybe it's exactly the same kind of a solve, and maybe I can use the same type of algorithms. And the answer is you really can't, because the main difference is that when I move this piece, I'm dragging the other layer with it. And I can do that. I can do a move like this, and I'm also dragging the other layer with it as well, but I'm not dragging it with it when I go like this. So in that way, it resembles less a Bagua cube, although it looks exactly like it, and more just a cross cube, like this guy over here. So a cross cube is where you have these small faces over here, these freely spinning cross centers, and you can do your 3x3 moves. In this case, the actual 3x3 puzzle is underneath, and you don't have to worry about solving it. So this is the cross cube, and the solve of this is just like a centers only 5x5. No corners, no edges, just the entire center portion of a 5x5. So I guess you could say that this being a cross cube, this would be like a centers only portion if you exclude the outer 2x2, but a centers only portion of maybe a 5x5 Bagua cube. But don't let that worry you, because it doesn't mean that we have a much larger version of a Bagua cube. We just have a centers only version of it. And while this can do a lot of these fascinating and sometimes frustrating motions, these actually can't. So you can't do the same type of turns with this. So you are a lot more restricted, so the solve of this is much easier. So the fact is, with this puzzle, you don't really need any algorithms at all. All you need is the place-replace strategy and the sliding U strategy, and that's really it. It's the same technique that you'd use for the centers over here. So I'm going to go through a scramble with this, and I'm not happy about having to do that because, quite frankly, this is a hard puzzle to move. But we'll go ahead and scramble it up, and I'll just quickly go through the strategy that I used for this. It's no problem at all, and this puzzle will serve as something of a guide to another puzzle that's going to come later, which I will talk about some other time. Anyway, I'll go through a full scramble. Abracadabra. Okay, so it looks nice and scary when it's scrambled, but you'll see that it's really no big deal. And like the last tutorial, it was all sliding U techniques as well. So this promises to be not much more complicated. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do the way I usually do any cross cube, is just do side by side by side by side. But the first thing I have to do is solve this outer 2x2 over here. And now this one does not have edge, but I think some versions do. This one doesn't. It's really not much different. Just do either the outer 3x3 or 2x2. So here's green. Put the other green in. So green and orange. Get the other green corner. So really there's no big issues with this. I'm just ignoring these cross portions. So this is over here, and finally turn and up. Okay, so one side is done. Now we're just going to do the next one, and I'm quickly going to get my 2x2. I'm just moving them all to the top. Another Sunni should do it. You can see that I'm struggling a little bit with the motion, and it's more than just lubrication. The way these pieces are, I almost feel like they need to be filed down a little bit because they're very catchy. So when getting this puzzle out, a lot of post-processing had to be done. And I'd lose stickers with that, and it wasn't a pretty sight. Now I finally turn this. Corner swap. So I'm just doing a 2x2 solve, so I'm going to assume that you know how to do that. And just taking it to the next step. I know I'm not being very illustrative with this. See, that sticker popped off. The reason why it popped off is there's so much lubrication on this puzzle that it got very slippery. So I find that luckily it didn't lose any stickers, but some I have. So that's on there, but not very well, not very tight. Okay, so the 2x2 is solved. You can see that all these are in here. So we're going to get the meat to the meat of the issue. Something to bear in mind, though. Here we go. I have to make sure that the centers correlate with the corners over here, which they do. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, I'm going to first do the green side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first put in these tiny little triangles here. And this is very easy. Just do place and replace, and here's what I mean by that. I'm going to take this, place it up here, then I'm going to turn this, and I got to replace what I just took out. So I move this down. That's it. So I'm going to get all of these triangles in. I don't see any more greens over here. I see green over here. So what I'm going to do is bring it up to place it, turn the cross portion to the side, and replace this down here so I can get this back. Any more greens? Got two over here. So what I'm going to do is put it in this position, place it, turn, and replace it. Got another one over here. So same kind of thing, but I'm going to move it. I'm going to bump this one out of the way. So I'm going to place this one in that spot, which was this spot. I'm going to move this into position, like so. So when I replace it, this gets bumped out and this gets put in. Splat. Alright, so now I just keep going around. I've got this here. So move this in place. I'm going to place it, move this to the side, move it down, replace it. Last green is over here, so move this in this position. And same thing, I'm going to bump this by placing it over here, turn this here, and I have to get this 2x2 corner back, so replace it. Okay, so all of these are in. Now you can, if you want, go all the way around the puzzle and get all of these in, but I prefer to do it basically center by center by center. So the next step is we want to put these in. So this is done with a sliding U technique. Kind of like the place replace type strategy, but a little different. So the sliding U technique is where I place it much the same way. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it to here. Now how can I do this without taking these out? Well, it turns out as long as I'm going 90 degrees, when I put it in and then I slide it back, I'm going to be replacing what I took out. So take this, put it up to here. So move it in on the right, move it up on the right. Then I'm going to take this, do a 90-degree turn to put this on the left side. So I'm going to put this on the left side here. Then I'm going to go, so slide it to the left and go up on the left. Now ignore that. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to put it back in. I'm going to take this piece, slide it back to the right side. So it's another 90-degree turn over here. And I'll reverse everything. So bring it down on the right. You notice I put that back in. Then I'm going to come back here 90 degrees, slide it back to a left side basically, and move it down. At the end of the day, it placed that without destroying anything over here. So I'm going to continue to put these in. Here's another one. Just to show that this works, I'm going to move it into this slot. So move it in from the right, slide it 90 degrees so that it's at a left hand side over here, then slide it up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide slide it back on the left, down on the left, and now you can see that both of these are now in. Shall we keep going? Sure. Now I could start on the left side. So I've got this here. Why don't we put it into here? So move it up on the left, slide it 90 degrees to a right-sided position, right here. So we go up on the right. Slide it back to the left, down on the left, slide it back on the right, if I can, and down on the right. Okay, so we've got now these in, and I just keep going. So I go over to here, I'll put this in a right-sided position, and let's move it into here. So up on the right, slide this to a left position, the first left position you can get into, up on the left. Slide it back to the right. Don't lose track of what you're looking at. And you know you're correct when you slide it back down. You've replaced this little triangle. Back to the left, down on the left, and now that's in. So you can see our star is getting larger. Nothing here. I've got this one. So let's put that in this position. Up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right. Slide it back to the left, down on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right. Now we're not taking anything out that we've already put in. Nothing more here. We've got this guy here. And let's put him over here. Up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right. Slide it back to the left, down on the left. If I can, slide it back to the right, down on the right. Okay, nothing more here, nothing more here, nothing more here. So now we can move it in from the bottom here, put it on the right side version. Now instead of moving it with just an R, I'm going to do a 2R. If I do that, I got to do a 2L as well. So we're going to do a 2R, so slide it up on the right, take this 90 degrees, slide it to the left, and now we do a 2L. Slide it back on the right, that's 2R to get it back, slide it back on the left, 2L puts it back. So you can see it does the same thing whether it's 2 or 1. Let me show you something a little different. It's the same concept. Let's move it in on the left. So 2R, or 2L rather, on the left. Slide it to the right. And just to demonstrate it, I won't do 2R, I'll just do 1R. Doesn't really matter, you just have to remember to move it back the same way. Move it to the left. Just remember you got to do a 2L now. And back on the right, since you just did a 1R, to move it up, you just do a RI. So now you can see all of these are in and all of these are in. That just leaves these corners over here. So these corners over here, what do we do to make sure that these don't get taken out to undo all that we did? Well, here's the good news. The same thing, no difference. That's the joy of the sliding U technique. It really is a 3-cycle, very specific to the areas that you're using. So this will come up to here. So move it in on the right. Now we're going to move this corner piece in left position, right over here. So now that's up on the left. Slide this corner area back to the right, if I can, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. You'll see that nothing else was taken out, but now this is in. So I'm just going to keep going around the puzzle. Let's put this in left-handed position. Move this over here, up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, and look at that, you got this one in too now. So nothing here, you got 2 over here that we can use. Up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right. Back you go to the left, up, oh, this is down on the left rather. Down on the left, slide it back to the right, and down on the right. Here's another one here, so let's go ahead and put another one in position, which will be this. Up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right. Bring it back to the left, turn, turn, and turn. Okay, I think you get the picture, but just in case you don't, I'll finish this side up. This can come over to here and slide it to the left, up on the left, slide it to the right, down on the right, slide it to the left, down on the left. Now you're probably thinking, it can't be that easy. There must be a trick. Guess what? There isn't. It really is that easy. Cross cubes may look impressive, but they're generally not that hard to solve. This was 2 up on the left, if you notice. Slide it to the right. You could do 1 or 2, just so that I don't lose my pace. I want 2 on the right. Bring it back to the left, 2 on the left, back to the right, 2 on the right. All right, here's another one. Coming over to here. That would be 2. The most difficult thing about this puzzle is to not lose patience with the movement and end up throwing it against the wall. But notice that with the sliding U technique, I am not destroying anything that I did. And finally this guy here, let's mix it up a little bit and do this, slightly different. 2 on the right, slide it to the left. Let's just go 1 on the left, why not? Slide it back to the right, 2 on the right, back on the left. Just remember to move it now down the opposite way on the left. Okay, so in that way this whole thing is in. What I would like to do, what I would recommend doing, because it is going to be a little easier, is go to the opposite one. Because when you go to the opposite one, you'll do it exactly the same way, and then you can put the next one in so much easier. Okay, so purple, just to kind of get into that again, this is just with the place and replace. So I can move this into here, and we'll move this guy, what? Here. So we're going to take this blue, place it. Now I don't want to move this down, so I'm going to move it over to here and move this down over here. Okay, here's this. Place it, turn it to an area that's not in, replace it. No other blues, no other blues, couple of blues. Okay, so same thing. So what we can bump this one up to place this, turn it, and replace it by moving it down. And finally, oh, not finally, we got more to go. Up, turn, and down. Now finally move this into place here. Up, move this into position, and well, gotta move it this way, and down. Okay, so these are all in. This sliding you all the way. So we're just looking for blues. Now I would say you don't necessarily have to do it, well, yeah, go ahead and do it in the order of the kites here. This to here, well, anywhere. So this will just show how we're not going to take this out at all. Up on the right, slide it to the left, up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. That's it. Any more? Nope. There must be a whole nest of it somewhere, like over here. This will come here, up on the right, slide it to the left, up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. And in that way, we just keep going round and around, just like an assembly line. Let's put it into here, with the faith that you will not destroy anything that you previously did. You just won't, so you don't have to worry. Slide it to the left, up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back on the left. I'm glad I don't need long algorithms for this, because when I inevitably get stuck in a motion that won't move, I'll be in the middle of an algorithm and not remember what I did. All right, so this will come here, up, double turn, up, double turn, down, double turn, and down. Alright, I think we've exhausted all the blues over here, and the rest happen to be over here. You can try to lube this, but it's just the way that it's put together. There's just so many little parts that doesn't really matter. Well, matters a little bit. And down. But to a puzzle that comes already stickered, the process of lubing it tends to make the stickers fall far and away. Up on the left, slide it to the right. Up on the right, slide it back to the left. Down on the left. Oh, now it's moving pretty well. Slide it back to the left, right, down on the right. Okay, one more. So this is to show that it's done exactly the same way. And you can see it's not very complicated. It's not causing much of an issue. Sliding your techniques all the way. Like I say, the biggest challenge is moving this without going insane. And turn. Okay, I guess that's it. Now I just put the corners in, put in a couple so that you can see. Why don't we place it over here? So up on the right, slide it to the left. Up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back on the left, down on the left. Down. Okay, so this is done and this is done. Now here's the reason why I did it that way. Because it's going to be easy to place the next one. And let's see, what shall it be? Let's make it white. So watch how easy this is. All I'm going to do is I don't have to move things in and out. I don't have to do place and replace with the star. I can just go, wow, boom. Okay, so this is it. Any other whites? Yep. So I'm just putting in all of the white little triangles. And because the top and the well, I gotta be careful. Be careful about these 3x3 areas here. So, in reality, I gotta get my whites back here. I got a little too confident with that, didn't I? That's okay. I can easily move it back. Okay, so this is all in here. So I guess I do have to place it and replace it. So this will come in, turn, and move it back. I almost took these corners out. Still easy, just not quite as easy as I thought. Move it to like so. Replace, and to moving it back. Now, you're probably wondering, well, as I put in more layers, do I have to do more strategy? And the answer is no. You can do this all around the puzzle, right up until the last 2 layers, and still do it. Okay, so just like that, all these are in. And just to give you a little feel for how powerful this sliding new technique is, this to here, move it up, slide it to the left, move it up over here. Whoa. Slide it to the right, down on the right. Slide it to the left, down on the left. So you notice this is in, nothing else has been taken out at all. I believe we have one more. We've got one more to go. 2R, slide it to the left. 2L, slide it to the right, 2R, slide it to the left, 2L. Okay, so now all these are in. This is done the same way that you've seen. Move this into position for the corner. Up on the left, move it to a right-sided position, 90 degrees. Up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. So I think I've made my point that you can see it's not taking any of these out. I've got a whole plethora. I'd say all the rest are here. One more, which is this guy. So this is just to show you that even with my third side, the strategy is the same and we're not taking anything out. Again, the biggest danger that you have is popping a piece or getting frustrated. Okay, that's it. So the next side is going to be exactly the same, and we'll bring it back when we get the last 2 sides. Okay, so by the same technique, really no difference. I got the orange part in. So now we just have these 2 left, which is the yellow and the red. And this is just to show that there's really no difference with that. You've got nothing to worry about. So once again, place and replace. I'll bring this up to here, move it up, turn this into position. I'm putting the little triangles in and move it down. Move this into position, move it up, place it here, turn this, replace it down here so this is in, and finally move this up if I can without destroying it, turn it and replace it, no worries. Alright, our good old friend sliding U. Let's go ahead and do this one. This is in place, so move it up, slide it to the left, up on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. Okay, this is now going to come to here, up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right, slide it to the left, down on the right rather. I threw myself off, but that's okay. We're still doing it just fine. And now the final one, which is here. Now the good news about doing the last two centers, I'm just focusing on one of the centers. The other one fixes itself. Just like magic. This turns over here and this comes down here. So you can see all these are in, and well, look at that. All these are in too. So now I got to put these corners in. Up on the right, slide it to the right. Up on the left, slide it back to the right. Down on the right, slide it back to the left. Down on the left. Roll this into place and this into place. Up on the right, slide it to the left. Up on the left, slide it back to the right. Down on the right, back to the left, and down on the left. And finally, we're down to the last slice here. This, up on the left, turn it here, turn, turn, and down, and done. So you got it. Your wheel of wisdom has been out-wisdomed, so to speak. So this is an example of a puzzle where, despite the fact that it's got all these pieces and it looks like it's got all of this complexity, the solve of this puzzle, as complex as it looks, is really just a matter of sliding U techniques and place and replace. It did not require any changes or algorithms that we had to use for this guy at all, even though the structure looked the same. So just with the right strategy, you're able to take something that looks complicated and really use it in the way that you would use a cross cube. But a neat looking puzzle, an ingenious idea, and great for the collection, and looks like maybe just the first step of a solve of perhaps an even harder puzzle. Anyway, thanks for watching.